Can I drink in this interview, by the way? Okay, good.
Yeah, so when did you start playing music?
I started playing when I was about 8 years old. I took from a teacher that I didn't really like, and ended up quitting after about 8 months. Then about 6 years later, about age 14, picked it back up, started playing House of the Rising Sun, watched Great Balls of Fire, and fell in love with piano ever since.
I met Kyle in middle school, I think, and we didn't really know each other at that point, but in high school was when we really started to be friends. After that, we both started taking lessons from the same piano and voice teacher, and her name was Charlotte. And so throughout those like 2 or 3 years, I really saw Kyle grow as a musician, and he helped me grow a lot. And it was actually me, Ian, and Kyle who took from her. And it was funny because we would sit in each other's lessons and we would critique each other, and we would tell each other like what we should do and what we shouldn't do. And at the end of the day, we would stand up on stage together and kind of have our own performance. But yeah.
All right, so Flower Sucks started about the time I came home. Let's see, what summer was it? I'll say it was about 2.5. We'll go with 2.5 years, 2 years ago. Came home after I left a band out in Dallas, and came home one summer. Mom had been working on a bunch of gluten-free recipes for her mother, who had just had a heart transplant and is diabetic and has pretty much every health problem known to man. Came home and was done with the band, so now I was back at the house kind of depressed anyway, so started drinking a lot, like what do you do when you are depressed, and started really throwing a lot of booze and things into a recipe. And so from there, the recipes started being born. We're like, okay, there's something to this. These are good. But Flower Sucks itself, like as a company and as a brand, really has developed over the last 12 months. I like to say my mom created the heart of Flower Sucks, and I created the soul of it. And where she really comes into play, she really drives home the wholesome message, where it started from the grassroots to my grandmother having the heart transplant, where, the initial things that really made her want to start developing these gluten-free recipes. And where I come in is with the soul of it, talking about the overall vibe of the company, adding, the alcohol to the recipes, making, Jack Daniel's, flavored, muffins, and the whole rock and roll vibe and the whole prohibition side to gluten-free, and really giving gluten-free a really edginess to it, and not just for people who have what they call dietary health restrictions. That's shit. That's awful. No one wants to feel like they have to eat these things. We wanted to create a product that was cool, that everybody wanted to have, whether they were gluten-free or not gluten-free. We wanted people to choose to want to eat these products, and that's how Flower Sucks came to be.
It's kind of something that shows the fine art side of things, and kind of shows like artists and musicians and people who write poetry and books and just stuff like that. It shows Kyle. Like, the business is Kyle. I don't know, it's just really cool to see how Flower Sucks can support Kyle and his music. I think everybody's favorite performance of Kyle was, I think it was 8th or 9th grade, and it was during this annual coffee house.
You know what it was? This is funny as hell. Freshman year of high school, whenever I did the coffee house thing, it was the first time I'd ever played in front of people, ever.
Coffee house is kind of like this thing where you stand up and you do poetry, or you dance, or you sing, or you play a piano, or any kind of instrument, and just kind of like show off what you can do. And it's usually around Christmas time, so Kyle gets up there and he sits down and he's like playing this really jazzy Christmas song. Then he stands up and he kicks the chair behind him, and everybody's like, oh my God, what?
Coffee house, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I would say that performance was the catalyst for everything. And people were applauding and like standing up and clapping, and it was that moment where I went, okay, maybe I'm not so bad at this. Maybe I will continue to do this.
I guess that was the point where everybody really realized that this kid has potential. Like, he's gonna be somebody someday, I guess.
And it just kind of kept snowballing from there. So I'd say that was the first, like the inaugural moment of, I think I can do this. Right now, kind of in a holding pattern at the moment, waiting to hear back from my manager, who I met through a different music venture out in Europe, and I've been working with him and his wife over the last 8 months. And right now I'm waiting to hear back from them regarding some music that we recorded together, and seeing what the interest is with other labels and other companies. So I should know about Christmas time, you know, what I'll be doing. But right now it's mostly just being patient.
Yeah. That was awesome. Not cool. Here we go again. Here we go again. I met Kyle in middle school, I think, and we didn't really know each other at that point, but in high school was when we really started to be friends, and I really think we sat in the same math class together. He sat behind me, and during that year, it was weird. There was a dead snake in the wall, but don't ask why. There were flies that started to like fly around a lot during that year, and so more and more would come. They were like huge horse flies, and so during math, me and Kyle would just kind of like squish all the flies and not pay attention to the lesson. So that's how we became friends. I think my favorite performance of Kyle was definitely, I think everybody's favorite performance of Kyle was, I think it was 8th or 9th grade, and it was during this annual coffee house thing, and it's usually around Christmas time, so Kyle gets up there and he sits down and he's like playing this really jazzy Christmas song, and so people are like, oh, this kid can kind of play. And then he stands up and he kicks the chair behind him, and everybody's like, oh my god, what? And he just went ham on the piano, and everybody was like, wow, okay, that's cool. And so yeah, I guess that was the point where everybody really realized that this kid has potential. Like, he's gonna be somebody someday, I guess. But yeah, and after that we both started taking lessons from the same piano and voice teacher, and her name was Charlotte. And so throughout those like 2 or 3 years, I really saw Kyle grow as a musician, and he helped me grow a lot. And it was actually me, Ian, and Kyle who took from her. And it was funny because we would sit in each other's lessons and we would critique each other, and we would tell each other like what we should do and what we shouldn't do. And at the end of the day, we would stand up on stage together and kind of have our own performance. But yeah, it's weird to think about that now. But yeah, so after that, Kyle just kind of went to Dallas, did his own thing, and would come back and tell me all about it. And it's really cool to hear it all from him, and I'm always like, Kyle, what have you been up to? And so he's been going on tour and starting to learn like the music industry side of things, and he recently, like 3 weeks ago, went to London to record an EP internationally, and it's been really cool to see him really take this on and just go for it. And so lately, I don't know, he's gone to France, he's gone around the US, and he's just played at local bars and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's fun to hear his stories, and it's fun to see how he loves it so much. And it's fun because he'll just talk, and he'll talk about it, he'll talk about himself, and he doesn't care. And it's really great. But yeah, I don't know. So I really see Kyle grow because he started Flower Sucks like 4 years ago, and it's kind of something that shows the fine art side of things and kind of shows like artists and musicians and people who write poetry and books and just stuff like that. And I don't know, it shows Kyle, like the business is Kyle. And it's really cool to see him just kind of like make this thing with Ian, and how they just kind of like grow from it. And I've seen both of them completely turn into people who are just, I don't know, they're different. They know who they are and they want something that's greater than themselves. And I don't know, it's just really cool to see how Flower Sucks can support Kyle in his music. And they're both things he loves to do, and he's so happy because of it. And it's really cool. I like it. And Flower Sucks was started because Kyle's mom, Debbie, she is allergic to gluten, and they're taking like a really cool, hip, contemporary spin on things. And I can see it going somewhere, and I can see it really thriving in this generation, I guess. But no, it's really helping Kyle. It's really helping Kyle in his music. And I don't know, watching my two best friends just kind of like find something and go with it, it's really inspiring for me. But yeah, it's kind of cool. And